Welcome to the longest running, the original, the only trilingual Filipino-Chinese lifestyle magazine show, Chinatown TV. I'm your host, Candice Tan. 您现在收看的是非中电视台。Visionary leadership, dynamic dialogue, and bold ideas for Manila's future all came together at the Exchange Forum hosted by the Association of Young Filipino-Chinese Entrepreneurs, aka Anvil Business Club, featuring no less than Honorable Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Domagoso. 2025年10月28日于马尼拉酒店举行的活动，汇聚了全国最杰出的企业家与领袖，共同展开以远见卓识引领马尼拉未来转型为主题的励志讨论。Let us take a look back at the highlights from this remarkable event.
Welcome to tonight's Anvil Exchange Forum.
Kapag pinag-uusapan ang Pilipinas, ang unang lungsod na nababanggit ay palaging Maynila. Ito ang puso ng bansa, ang sentro ng ating kasaysayan at ang pintuan ng Pilipinas patungo sa buong mundo. Dito nagsimula ang ating mga kwento ng commerce, kultura, pakikibaka at pag-asa.
Anvil Business Club, tonight it is my honor to introduce our esteemed guest speaker. Guided by his vision to make Manila great again, he revitalized public spaces, restored order, and championed transparency in government. His journey continues to inspire many, showing that with integrity, grit, and compassion, meaningful change is possible. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm round of applause to welcome our guest speaker for tonight, Honorable Francisco Isko Moreno Domagoso.
Before I start the ball rolling, I would like to thank each and every one of you, especially the leadership of Anvil, for doing it in Manila. Today, it continues to be the city of hope. And together, all of us here, it will be and continue in the future as a city of hope.
Isang makasaysayang pagkikita ang nasaksihan sa Busan, South Korea na magkamayan sina Chinese President Xi Jinping at US President Donald Trump. Isang simbolo ng panibagong pag-asa at posibleng breakthrough sa ugnayan ng dalawang pinakamalalaking ekonomiya sa mundo. Sa kanyang video address sa Global Financial Leaders Investment Summit sa Hong Kong, tiniyak ng Chinese Vice Premier 𝐼𝐸𝐴 na mas marami pang malalaking oportunidad sa pag-unlad ang naghihintay sa rehiyon kasabay ng pagpapatupad ng bagong plano sa pambansang kaunlaran ng China. Sa pagbubukas ng ika-8 China International Import Expo sa Shanghai, muling pinagtibay ng China ang pangako nitong ibahagi ang mga oportunidad na kaunlaran sa buong mundo. Tampok ang mga reformang naglalayong higit pang buksan ang ekonomiya para sa dayuhang pamumuhunan. Magandang balita para sa mga biyahero. Ipinahayag ng Ministry of Foreign Affairs ng China ang pagpapalawig ng visa-free policy para sa mahigit 40 bansa hanggang Disyembre 31, 2026. Isang hakbang na magpapasigla sa turismo, negosyo at people-to-people exchanges. Matagumpay na natapos ng Shenzhou Tony Crew ang lahat ng kanilang nakatakdang misyon sa kalawakan. Sa ginanap na handover ceremony noong Nobyembre 4, formal na ipinasa ng mga astronaut ng Shenzhou 20 ang susing simbolo ng space station sa bagong Shenzhou 21 crew bilang bahagi ng patuloy na operasyon ng China Manned Space Program, isang patunay ng tuloy-tuloy na pag-unlad ng China sa larangan ng space exploration. Sa ilalim ng temang Openness, Culture, and the Shared Home, binuksan sa Nanning, China ang 2025 ASEAN Media Partners Cooperation Week. Pinangunahan ito ng China Media Group at Guangxi Chuang Autonomous Region na layuning palakasin ang kooperasyon sa media at ugnayan ng China at ASEAN sa larangan ng kultura at komunikasyon. Isang makasaysayang hakbang sa pagpapalakas ng turismo at ugnayang panlipunan sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at China. Opisyal nang inilinsad ng Embahada ng Pilipinas sa Beijing ang electronic visa o e-visa para sa mga mamamayang Chino. Sa seremonyang ginanap sa iba't ibang lungsod ng China, kabilang ang Beijing, Guangzhou at Shanghai, ipinahayag ni Philippine Ambassador Jaime Flor Cruz ng e-visa system ay layuning gawing mas mabilis, mas maginhawa at mas modernong paraan ng pagbisita sa Pilipinas. Ayon sa embahador, ito ay isang mahalagang hakbang sa pagdiriwang ng ika-50 anibersaryo ng relasyon diplomatiko ng Pilipinas at China na magsusulong palalo ng turismo, kalakalan at people-to-people exchanges sa pagitan ng dalawang bansa. Isang makulay na pagdiriwang ng pagkakaibigan at kalakalan na nasaksihan sa pagbubukas ng pabilyon ng Pilipinas sa ika-8 China International Import Expo CIIE sa Shanghai, China. Tampok sa Philippine Pavilion ang 19 na lokal na kumpanya at mga produktong ipinagmamalaki ng bansa tulad ng durian, pinya, mangga, niyog at iba pa. Ang puyat durian naman ang naging pangunahing bituin ng eksibisyon, simbolo ng lumalakas na demand ng produktong Pilipino sa merkadong Chino. Bilang bahagi ng ika-50 anibersaryo ng relasyon diplomatiko ng Pilipinas at China, layunin ng paglahok ng bansa sa CIIE na higit pang paigtingin ng kooperasyon sa kalakalan at agrikultura at ipakitang husay, kalidad at lasa ng mga produktong Pilipino sa pandaigdigang entablado.
Chinatown TV, 最终电视台。Chinatown TV, 最终电视台。
Welcome back. You're still watching Chinatown TV with me, your host, Lisa Chong. China's rich cultural heritage spans over 5,000 years at sinasabing isa ito sa pinakamatanda at complex cultures in the world. With its unique customs, traditions, and practices, China has a lot to offer to those who are interested in exploring its fascinating culture. As we delve into the vast and diverse culture of China, ating kikilalanin ang kanilang mayamang kultura na nagpasalin-salin na sa mga henerasyon. From traditional Chinese medicine to the art of calligraphy, there's much to explore and learn about. Join us on our journey to uncover these fascinating aspects of Chinese culture and more as we delve deeper into the wonders of this ancient and diverse civilization. Habang patuloy na humaharap ang mundo sa hamon ng pagbabago ng klima, ang China ay nagbubukas ng isang bagong kapanapanabik na yugto sa berdeng pag-unlad. Sa panayam ng Leaders Talk kasama si Inger Anderson, Executive Director ng United Nations Environment Program o UNEP, pinuri niya ang kahanga-hangang hakbang ng China sa renewable energy, biodiversity conservation at climate cooperation. Ayon kay Anderson, malaki ang potensyal ng China na malampasan pa ang kanilang climate pledge para sa 2035 dahil sa patuloy nitong pagsulong sa malinis na enerhiya at makatarungang transisyon pangkapaligiran. Isang patunay na sa harap ng pandaigdigang hamon na nanatiling matatag ang China sa pangunguna para sa isang mas luntiang, makatarungan at inklusibong mundo.
This is Anderson. It's such a great pleasure to have you with us again on Leaders Talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me again. After 2 years, it's a pleasure to be back.
Let's start with some of the latest developments. You have referred the year of 2025 as a critical year for environment issues. So how so? And can we start the conversation by having you elaborate a little bit on the latest developments on climate agenda worldwide.
This is an important year because we also have to, we're heading to the COP for climate. And under the Paris Agreement, we agreed that every 5 years we're going to submit what we call the NDCs, the Nationally Determined Contributions. That's like our promises. What are we going to do now on climate? We submitted the first lots of promises, NDCs, in Paris in 2015, at COP21. The next ones in Glasgow in 2021. We missed a year because of COVID. And now it is time to do another set of promises in COP30. And there we have to really see a stretch, right? So this is important. On the nature side, we have decided, Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, we now have to see, because how are we doing on protecting nature? What is it that we have to get done? And on pollution, which is kind of the third element here, we have made some agreements amongst ourselves on how we are going to manage chemicals, how we are going to manage waste. And of course, we're negotiating a plastic treaty. All of this comes together this year where we have to look at how we're doing. And here I have to really give a good shout out to China, because China is leaning in on each of these. And I look forward to discussing that in greater detail with you.
That would be great. And talking about the progress made by China on environmental issues, actually one of the latest announcement was made by President Xi back in September, which stated that China now aims to cut its economy-wide net greenhouse emission by 7 to 10% from peak level by 2035, while striving to do better. So how do you understand the meaning as well as the significance of China's new climate goals?
Now, this is very significant. It's really well regarded to see China making these enormous pushes forward on renewable energy. We are seeing new built gigawattage going online every year in terms of renewable solar and wind, around 200 to 300 gigawatts. It's mind-boggling in terms of the installed capacity.
Right.
Now, we still have a heavy coal load in China, so that's the reality. But with that striving towards reaching 60% of the capacity being renewable, that's massive. There is some real progress being made. And so, of course, in September at the General Assembly in New York, we saw live the video where the President, Xi Jinping, made the announcement of 7 to 10% reduction by 2035 and striving to do even better. And the reality is that China is already doing better. So probably it will be over-delivering on that promise, because we can see that the cadence by which, the speed with which renewable is being installed is very, very fast.
What was your feedback or response when you were there at assembling, listening to the speech delivered by President Xi, especially at a time when the global environmental issues are suffering so many setbacks, with some countries are rolling back on their commitment, while China is still leaning in, is trying to make more contribution? What was your response and what were you thinking at that time?
No, obviously I was very pleased. But I also am concerned because at the global level we are not heading where we need to be. We saw global emissions drop, but they're still increasing. But the increase used to be at 1.7%, now it's at 0.3%. But the reality that we are globally, I'm speaking globally, increasing our emissions is a concern, because that translates into, therefore, if we are to hit 1.5 degrees, we will need to reduce our emissions by something like 47% by 2030. And that's hard. And then the question is, how fast do we drive it down again? And this is where the striving to do better, stretching every day to do better. We want all countries to do that.
But Mrs. Anderson, this is a global issue that we're talking about, which required collaborative efforts and actions. China is making lots of efforts, that's for sure. But some countries that we saw are, as I said, rolling back their commitment, are scaling back on their responsibilities on environmental issues. So how concerned are you as the chief of UNEP about the disruption of this international cooperation? And what do you think should be done or urgently needed in order to accelerate joint efforts from the international community in order to achieve those goals?
So, of course, there are 193 member states of the United Nations, and there are 192 that are still very much pushing in favor of and in pursuit of the climate convention and the climate goals. That's the focus that we at the United Nations have to have. And we're very pleased to see that across the world in these 192 countries, there is an absolute commitment to make this happen. Of course, we respect that member states can make their own decisions. This is how it works in the world. And so one member state has made its decision, but the rest of the world is moving ahead. And the good thing is that we are seeing that ecological civilization, the green and clean development is in fact what is driving jobs, driving opportunity, driving growth, driving security. And so that is a dimension that many countries are very aware of. Now, we are seeing a number of countries making efforts, including, I've mentioned China, but I should also mention many European countries, many countries in Africa and Asia and Latin America, North America and Canada. And I think that's very important not to lose hope and faith that the world is moving.
Mrs. Anderson, let's go back to the environmental progress here in China. The two mountains concept, which was proposed by President Xi when he was the party chief in Zhejiang province, has now become a guiding principle of the nation's ecological system. And last time during our interview, your words about loving the poetry of an expression of those waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets become the trendy topic among Chinese social media. So what do you believe are the most distinctive features of this concept in terms of advancing ecological civilization as well as green transformation?
I mean, when you can convey something that is really complex into poetic language, and so you have the two mountains, the mountain of green and the mountain of gold, and when you see and you convey that, and anybody can sort of imagine a lucid river being silver, because it sort of is, and when you see that that is in fact wealth, that environmental conservation and purity is a country's wealth and a gift by a country to itself and to the unborn child, to the next generation. When you can convey that, but then translate it into growth, into jobs, into opportunities, into a healthier living, it's something that people can understand. And I think we have moved, therefore, through this imagery, poetic imagery, into the real world of economic planning and real world of land use planning, but based on this way of conveying it to a people that has a history that is thousands of years and therefore can catch the beauty of that poetry. And I think, and which is essentially an ecological message, which of course is why it resonates with me. We are now seeing that the two mountains theory and the two mountains framework is implemented across this country.
Exactly.
Precisely so that people in communities can see the benefits that they are gaining from a healthier agriculture, more productive agriculture, from cleaner streams, cleaner air, and of course from smarter, more sophisticated, can I say, industrial production that is cleaner, smarter, more mechanized, etc. It's a journey that all countries have gone through and are going through and still have to go through, depending on where we are in the development spectrum. But the Chinese method of sort of reaching into the future, painting a picture quite evocatively that then describes for a people, this is where we're heading. It's quite powerful. And I think that that is what we are seeing in this country. And we are seeing cleaner air, and we are seeing more lucid water, and we are seeing more green
Lush
mountains.
yes.
And all of that is meaningful. And it is, as I said, a gift to the current generation, current population, but also to the generations to come.
With this concept, we are actually turning the vision into reality.
Precisely.
And actually this year also marks the 20th anniversary of this two mountains concept, the birth of this concept. So how do you understand the global significance of the two mountains concept in advancing the geological systems worldwide?
I think that another way of saying that maybe the world beyond China would relate to is the Sustainable Development Goals, in a sense, right? Many countries have sort of absorbed this learning and are really looking at what it would look like to tackle some of these polluting sectors, or indeed to think about conservation as a way to get wealth, as a way to get more vibrant agriculture, or as a way for ecotourism. So I think that at the global level, yes, also there is a solid understanding of this theory. They may use different language and different words and not necessarily the poetry of China and of President Xi Jinping, but nevertheless, I think that the concepts are well understood.
That's great. I would like to show you a short video, which is going to have something to do with your next stop. Let me see. This is a herd of elephants.
Oh, yeah.
Just some background information, because back in 2021, a herd of elephants, catching great attention, not only from the audiences here in China, but also worldwide.
I followed it.
You followed the millions of your, yeah, me too. And people are calling them wandering elephants. So this is, I think, the elephants, they are taking a nap.
It's just wonderful.
Yeah, it's very cute. You see, yeah, they're this baby elephant. Yes.
And Mama is going, can you
the
stop?
garden.
Can you stop? Mama is saying, please, I'm taking a rest here.
Yes, just like a family.
Yeah.
So people are actually following you and me about where they're heading today.
Absolutely.
People also see this as a very good example of China's improvements and advancement in biodiversity and in ecological systems. So what is your take on that? And also, what do you expect to experience in Yunnan, a place that is very famous for its natural beauty and biodiversity?
First of all, this wandering group of elephants, what a story, what a beautiful story. And we saw how people were protecting them. I mean, nobody was hassling this group. There was, and they can be quite destructive when they move through agricultural lands, etc. Yes. But there was a lot of focus by the local people of ensuring that this group could do what they had to do and then eventually migrate their destination and not get into dangerous situations. And it was really an example of what we have to do as a global civilization, right? Take care of nature. Because when we take care of nature, nature takes care of us. It's as simple as that. And I'm really looking forward to it. Because it is Yunnan province, it's such a unique province, and I've never had the opportunity to visit before. And we're not just going for tourism, we will be having a meeting on the Kunming Fund. And it's a big step that China has taken to make this fund. It's well over 200 million over 10 years that China will make, $1 million, that China will make available for countries in the global south, that they can do biodiversity conservation in a manner similar to what China is doing and has done. This is a huge show of South-South solidarity, and South-South collaboration.
The Kunming Biodiversity Fund that you just referred to actually was launched, as you mentioned, in May of 2024 last year, and you were in Beijing to witness this landmark initiative. And this is also the very first fund of its kind initiative by developing countries.
Precisely.
So what do you believe, Mrs. Anderson, is the greatest significance of this fund?
Well, biodiversity is under threat, and these monies that China has made available will be supporting key projects and key initiatives in the Global South precisely to halt and reverse biodiversity loss. And it's not just to make nature in a museum, right, or in a protected area, but it's to make nature thrive in our cities, in our agricultural fields, in our back gardens, so that nature is not just something that we put a fence around and now it's beautiful to look at. No, nature lives in the city, everywhere. So the point is that this funding will help, together with much other funding, of course, to support projects, programs, initiatives, and policy directions in countries in the Global South precisely to support nature conservation, so that the goals of the biodiversity framework, that those 23 goals can be achieved by 2030.
Mrs. Anderson, you've been to China many times and paying close attention to the efforts and the progress made by China on environmental protection. What impressed you the most in terms of China's advancement on environmental agenda, and what are the biggest contributions made by China on the international environmental dimensions?
So I was just telling my colleagues when we were driving here that my first visit to China was in 1990. And
over 30 years ago?
Over 30 years ago, so it was a very different China then. And I was sort of telling my younger Chinese colleagues what it was.
We were born yet.
But at any rate, so just to say that, yes, I've had the privilege of visiting this beautiful and massive country over a long period of time. And so, of course, seen rapid development in the last 20 years or so, and accelerating in the last 10, I should say. But the contribution clearly is, what was in China a country that was entirely reliant on coal in distributed and highly polluting settings, have made massive movements on renewables. And some of the latest investments that we're seeing, the high solar in the mountainous area in the interior of the country. I was just reading, there's an article in today's newspaper in another country that speaks to the fact that it is equivalent, the latest installed capacity just at the high solar, the elevated solar, because it's at a mountain height where the air is pure and so you and thin, so you get higher solar intensity. It corresponds to something like 6 Manhattans in terms of the size of these things. And so that is installed in no time. And of course wind, and as well as hydro. That's a massive achievement. But I will say on biodiversity, it's also big, very big. So I was really pleased to see in this international conference of CCICED the plans that are going into the 15th five-year plan that will start in 2026, because this plan speaks about zero waste, that this is a very exciting new chapter that China is opening as well.
As the world is now facing so many challenges, including on the climate and pollution front, and also the global governance is now coming to the crossroads. And Chinese President Xi has recently made a proposal of a new major initiative called the Global Governance Initiative, in which he emphasized the importance of different countries work in a concert way to tackle global challenges and to create a fair and equitable world. And in this initiative, climate change and also environmental protection, etc., a very important part of it. So, Mrs. Anderson, how do you understand the significance of this initiative proposed by President Xi in advancing multilateral climate action?
Look, when we see a leader of a major nation such as China stepping up and say, look, these issues take global conversations, and the global conversations happen in multilateralism. That's obviously something that gives us a strength, because these problems are of a global dimension and they need global solutions. And so discussing together, and yes, finding equity, yes, it's a difficult path forward, but working together to create that path. We can't leave anyone behind just because they're still on the development journey. We have to ensure, and there are no, a wealthier country doesn't have the right to pollute so that a poorer country ends up in climate trouble. So we have to think about this as one nation on this planet, one nation of humans, under the big flag of the United Nations, of course. We are but one people at the end of the day, interdependent and dependent on this planet and on the climate that it has. So looking at equitable and just transitions, looking at the commitments that we make, and making that a core pillar of a paradigm of thinking, and therefore a development paradigm, is very significant. As I said, when a leader steps forward and makes those clear declarations, it echoes, which I think from a United Nations perspective is very welcome.
Mrs. Anderson, thank you so much again for joining us here on Leaders Talk, and thank you for sharing this your poetic views and insightful views on climate change as well as global environmental issues. Greatly appreciated.
It's been a great pleasure to be here, and I thank you so much for having this conversation.
Thank you.
Chinatown TV 最终电视台 Chinatown TV 最终电视台
Welcome back. You are still watching Chinatown TV. I'm your host, 𝐾𝐿. 您现在收看的是非洲电视台。In a milestone celebration for sustainable living and green architecture, Mariposa Mews proudly unveiled its LEED Gold Plaque, marking it as the first residential project in the Philippines to achieve this prestigious certification. Held last October 22, 2025 at the Mariposa Mews Roof Deck in Quezon City, the event gathered key partners, architects, and sustainable advocates to honor this remarkable achievement, a testament to the commitment of building a greener, healthier, and more sustainable future for Filipino homes. Let's take a closer look at the highlights of this historic moment.
We are gathered here for a very special occasion, which is of course the unveiling of the LEED plaque for Mariposa Mews.
We'd like to congratulate the developers, the engineers, the architects, of everyone who made this possible, because if you didn't know, Mayor Joy has a very strong commitment to a 30% reduction in greenhouse gases by 2030, and also to be a net zero city by 2050. So having LEED certified residential buildings is a giant step in that direction.
This is more than just a housing project. It is a testament of how homes can go beyond providing shelter by providing communities that nurture both people and the planet. The vision of Mariposa Mews residents resonates deeply with that of the Quezon City government. In order to create spaces that are inclusive, innovative, and environmentally responsible.
The 𝐼𝙬𝙧 Foundation held its 114th to 115th Officers Induction Ceremony. 旅飞林浦总堂举行第114连115届职员就职典礼。
2025年10月29号晚，旅飞林浦总堂假作金海湾鲍吃海鲜大酒楼隆重举行第114连115届理事会及第17连18届教育基金董事会、第35连36届华文教师联谊会、第20连21届妇女组、第37连38届亲和组职员就职典礼。非华友好团体代表、嘉宾等应邀出席典礼仪式。名誉理事长𝐼𝙬𝐂𝐋𝐋担任大会主席并致辞，他向所有理事表达了最诚挚的感谢，感谢他们在他任期内给予的关心和支持。相信在新任理事长𝐼𝙬𝐂𝐋的卓越领导下，林浦总堂定能承前启后，开拓创新。愿林浦宗业薪火相传，绵延长兴，永续辉煌。荣誉理事长施天来担任理事会就职监事员，见证印信移交并训诲。他寄予新届领导要传承精神，饮水思源，团结协作，共谋发展，与时俱进，开拓创新。希望他们能够以坚定的信念、饱满的热情，书写林浦总堂更加辉煌的篇章。新届理事长𝐼𝙬𝐂𝐋致赠感谢盾牌与名誉理事长施清伟、监事员施天来。荣誉理事长施家彪为教育基金董事会董事宣誓就职监事，并见证印信移交。新届董事长施清伟致赠感谢盾牌与名誉董事长施清胆、监事员施家彪。随后，常务董事施大鹏和施永妙捐献教育基金。荣誉理事长施伟莲为华文教师联谊会职员宣誓就职监事，并见证印信移交。新届华文教师联谊会主任施佩妮致赠感谢盾牌与名誉主任施燕妮、监事员施伟莲。新届理事长𝐼𝙬𝐂𝐋为妇女组职员宣誓就职监事，并见证印信移交。新届妇女组组长施吴敏婷致赠感谢盾牌与名誉组长施洪素琼、监事员𝐼𝙬𝐂𝐋。大会主席、名誉理事长施清伟为亲和组职员就职监事，并见证印信移交。新届亲和组组长施宣生致赠感谢盾牌与名誉组长施纯辉、监事员施清伟。新届理事长𝐼𝙬𝐂𝐋在致辞中表示，承蒙前辈与理事同仁之厚爱，推选出任新届理事长，倍感荣幸，亦深觉责任重大，一定会竭尽全力与大家携手合作，为林浦总堂的团结与完善共同努力，齐心前进。相信在全体族亲的团结支持中，林浦总堂定能蒸蒸日上，再创新局。世界林浦施氏宗亲总会名誉理事长施学顺担任大会主讲人，并特捐大会。非华商联总会名誉理事长施东方博士作主旨演讲，并献捐总堂基金。期间颁赠纪念盾牌与主讲人施学顺、施东方博士。非华商联总会理事长林荣辉作主礼嘉宾演讲。世界林浦施氏宗亲总会理事长施锦场。菲律宾各宗亲会联合会主席许文忠，世界林浦施氏宗亲总会后任理事长福建林浦施氏宗亲总会理事长施能相，菲律宾晋江同乡总会理事长王松龄，香港施氏宗亲会监事长施新平，台北市施姓宗亲会理事长施立清，菲律宾晋江市龙湖镇莲乡总会理事长施纯听，菲律宾钱江联合会副理事长施宣尧，旅飞行江工会理事长施天乙，晋江市人大代表中共前岗村总支部书记施小鹏等先后致辞。 随后，新届理事长施培全个人捐赠商总华生流失基金及各社团福利金和教育基金。副理事长施应铎致谢词，副理事长施子云介绍主讲人。秘书长施启明与非中电视台主持人陈静瑜担任大会司仪，并介绍主宾席宾主。仪式之后进行了聚餐、祝酒、抽奖以及余兴节目表演。Chinatown News 非中新闻台综合报道。
有利东方旅游有限公司 Union Travel Incorporated。The Manila Chinatown Lions Club District 301A4 held a celebration of its 52nd charter anniversary and 53rd induction ceremony. 马尼拉华人区国际狮子会301A4区举行庆祝成立52周年暨第53届职员就职典礼。
2025年10月31号晚，马尼拉华人区国际狮子会301A4区甲座东海皇宫酒家隆重举行庆祝成立第52周年暨第53届职员就职典礼。来自非华社会各界嘉宾与各分会师友齐聚一堂，场面盛大热烈。马尼拉华人区国际狮子会全体职员以及各姐妹会在祥狮献瑞的带领下陆续进场。随后，大会主席许淑罗就位敲响狮子钟，象征典礼的正式开始。名誉会长许淑罗在致辞中表示，马尼拉华人区国际狮子会自成立以来，凝聚了无数狮友的热忱与善心，大家携手创造了许多温暖与感动。相信在新一届理监事团队的共同努力下，狮子会定能在前辈们奠定的基础上更上一层楼，持续发展，茁壮成长。国际狮子会301A4区总监朴兴珠担任监事员，见证印信移交并训会。期间赠送感谢盾牌与会长、名誉会长和监事员，然后播放马尼拉华人区国际狮子会2023至2025活动精彩视频。新届会长王赤莹在致辞中感谢全体狮友的信任与支持，并表示能够接任会长一职，深感荣幸与责任重大。展望未来，希望大家能够继续携手并进，以更坚定的步伐、更饱满的热忱，投入公益与服务工作中，扬起希望的旗帜，共创更加温暖美好的明天。301A4区创区总监黄安顺担任大会主讲人，非华各界联合会常务副主席柯志超，菲律宾中国商会会长柯志超，高雄第一狮子会会长张佑维，马六甲狮子会会长沈佩玲，新加坡玉朗狮子会会长胡先锋，纳毛华人区狮子会会长蔡光华等先后致辞。期间，与姐妹会互赠纪念盾牌，然后献捐福利金与多个社团。随后举行切蛋糕与祝酒仪式，名誉会长、正副会长及监事长 共同举杯，庆贺狮子会52载的辉煌与新里程的开启。第一副会长李崇婉于仪式尾声致谢词，对各界嘉宾与全体师友的莅临与支持致以衷心感谢。在王诗颖会长敲响象征圆满的狮子钟后，典礼仪式告一段落。副会长陈锦顺、秘书长陈长亮与非中电视台主持人杨怡晶担任司仪，并介绍主宾席宾主与主讲人。典礼仪式之后进行了聚餐、抽奖以及文艺节目表演。Chinatown News 非中新闻台综合报道。
The Philippine Xinjiang General Association Incorporated Negros Occidental Chapter and the Philippine Xinjiang Chamber of Commerce Incorporated Negros Occidental Chapter held the second officers induction ceremony. 菲律宾晋江同乡总会、菲律宾晋江总商会西黑省分会举行第2届里监事会职员就职典礼。2025年10月26号下午7时，菲律宾晋江同乡总会、菲律宾晋江总商会西黑省分会甲座苗哥律士 SMX 会展中心举行第2届里监事会职员就职典礼。该部政商名流、庆贺团嘉宾、该会执会员携亲朋好友齐聚一堂，会场高朋满座，灌溉云集，气氛热烈，盛况空前。首先由维拉罗萨神父带领祈祷，指导员洪宗华担任大会主席并致辞，对到场嘉宾表示诚挚感谢。同时回顾分会过往发展，并寄予新届领导班子续写佳绩。菲律宾晋江同乡总会理事长、总商会会长王松林担任监事员，见证义信移交并训诲。他表示，西黑省分会已成立3年，首届理事长李福德交上了一张亮丽的成绩单，并蝉联第2届理事长。相信在他的领导下，全体同仁齐心协力，两会会务必定会更上一层楼。连任理事长、会长李福德在致辞中感谢全体同仁在过去2年里对他的信赖，他们慷慨解囊，鼎力相助，积极参与各项社会公益活动，致力于传递正能量。他衷心感谢他们再次给予他宝贵的学习机会，让他担任第2届理事长，表示必将恪尽职守，全力推动会务发展。菲律宾晋江同乡总会名誉理事长、总商会名誉会长陈凯富担任大会主讲人。他表示，全体连任不仅是一份荣誉，更是全体乡亲对第1届理事会过去2年来的辛勤付出与卓越成就的最高肯定。希望大家承前启后，继往开来，内聚相益，外树形象，心系桑梓，共筑梦想。苗哥历史副市长普恩特维拉、佛朗西斯科中将、伊拜准将、菲律宾中国商会永远名誉会长洪吉祥、菲律宾中国商会总会会长柯志超、菲律宾金井镇莲乡总会理事长许长安、菲律宾晋江同乡总会、菲律宾宿务晋江商会会长李嘉欣等先后致辞。庆典期间，该会主要领导先后向大会主席、监事员、主讲人和捐献福利金的团体和个人颁发感谢盾牌。同时举行各兄弟团体捐献该届福利金仪式。 行副理事长、执行副会长陈金义致谢词，副理事长、副会长蔡文明介绍主讲人，经济主任黄明俊与司仪非中电视台主持人施冰怡共同介绍主宾席贵宾。最后，全体新届领导上台敬酒，然后进行抽奖活动。非中新闻台综合报道。
有利东方旅游有限公司 Unirian Travel Incorporated。
The Philippine 𝑘𝐾 Family Association held a farewell dinner for the overseas delegation who came to attend the 19th World 𝐲𝐿 Convention。菲律宾西河林氏宗亲总会承办世界林氏宗亲总会第19届世界林氏恳亲大会欢送晚会圆满落幕。
2025年10月18日至19日，菲律宾西河林氏宗亲总会承办世界林氏宗亲总会第19届世界林氏恳亲大会，先后于18日晚在东海皇宫酒家举行欢迎晚宴，19日上午在马尼拉万豪酒店举行祭祖大典，并于当天下午举行世界林氏宗亲总会第12届第5次理监事会议及第12届第2次会员代表大会。10月19日晚，该会在马尼拉万豪酒店举行欢送晚会。世界林氏宗亲总会理事长、菲律宾西河林氏宗亲总会理事长林国端在致辞时，向每一位远道而来的宗亲表达衷心的感谢。他表示，回望2天的相聚，宗亲们围坐一堂，将祖辈的迁徙故事、家族的家训祖训缓缓道来。那些藏在字里行间的坚韧与善良，是宗族最珍贵的传家宝。世界林氏宗亲总会监事长林美智，世界林氏宗亲总会副理事长林少雄、林清荣，晋江市比干学术研究会理事长林炳岱亦先后致辞。晚会期间，世界各国各地区互赠纪念盾牌，会场秩序顺畅，热闹非凡。在世界林氏宗亲总会理事长、菲律宾西河林氏宗亲总会理事长林国端及全体理监事及世界各国各地区宗亲的见证下，新加坡林氏大宗祠九龙塘家族自治会接受承办2027年第20届世界林氏恳亲大会及会期，并诚邀世界各国各地区宗亲于2027年在新加坡再见。最后，由菲律宾西河林氏宗亲总会第1副理事长林旭东致谢词，林景转担任司仪，林坚固和石秀担任节目主持人。晚会还安排了精彩纷呈的余兴节目表演。本届世林恳亲大会在全场大合唱“明天会更好”后圆满落幕。
站起来，我的爱拥抱大海，超越不只是现在，
家财千里人在心里。
说了什么往前不归，
我真的很想在我500年。
Chinatown News 非中新闻台综合报道。
In celebration of its 80th foundation anniversary, the 𝐲𝐿 College Alumni Association paid tribute to all the association's past presidents. 在庆祝创会80周年之际，菲律宾中正学院校友总会特别向历任校友总会会长颁发奖牌。
2025年10月20号晚，菲律宾中正学院校友总会假作马尼拉大酒店节庆厅隆重举行庆祝80周年会庆晚会暨正友之夜，即第10届杰出校友、第20届优秀校友和正友木铎奖褒扬典礼。非华有校、友好团体代表、嘉宾等应邀出席典礼仪式，现场气氛隆重热烈。校友总会会长施纯永致欢迎词，副会长卢垂顺介绍贵宾，中国驻菲律宾大使馆王玉磊公参致辞。值此庆祝创会80周年之际，校友总会特别向历任校友总会会长颁发奖牌，其中包括第1届常务委员庄秉煌、劳朝汉、施文聪，第2、3、4、5届理事长柯承焕，第6、7届理事长陈国权，第8、9、10、11届理事长高光波，第12、13、14届理事长苏荣章，第15、16、17届理事长吴伯康，第18、19届理事长戴良具，第20、21届理事长庄长荣，第22、23届理事长蔡汉荣，第24、25届理事长吴仲康，第26、27届理事长黄寿坤，第28届会长王次荣，第29届会长庄明辉，第30届会长陈祝远，第31届会长张兆宁，第32届会长蔡清杰，第33届会长黄成辉，第34届会长林莹静，第35届会长蔡天心，第36届会长尤福熙，第37届会长柯春凯，第38届会长张秀金，第39届会长陈长善，第40届会长刘贤土，第40届代会长暨第41届会长陈义维，第42届会长黄俊仁，第43届会长郭树元，第44届会长许威顺，第45届会长许俊荣，第46届会长李贤策，第47届会长曾国祥，第48届会长郭冰莹，第49届会长施志雄，第50届会长陈建卫以及第51届会长李锦思。名誉董事长张兆宁获颁第10届杰出校友奖，第20届优秀校友政府会考优越奖得主分别是吴千民、姚玉怡和杨善妹，而体育奖得奖人是施慧敏。第20届正友木铎奖得主分别是张泽浩和林希昭。母校董事长施公奇视频致辞，母校叶启明校长致辞，校友总会副会长施玉娥致谢词。期间举行切校友总会80周年华诞生日蛋糕与祝酒，当晚还有精心安排的朗诵、歌唱、戏剧和舞蹈等多元化表演与抽奖助兴。活动通过非中电视台脸书进行直播。Chinatown News 非中新闻台综合报道。
The Manila Chinatown Lions Club District 301A4 held a charity distribution activity in cooperation with the Manila City Government. 马尼拉华人区国际狮子会301A4 区联合马尼拉市政府举行慈善发放活动。
2025年10月31号，马尼拉华人区国际狮子会301-A4 区秉承 We Serve 的宗旨，携手马尼拉市议员多马戈索及阿瓜集团，共同举办一场充满关怀与温情的爱心慈善发放活动，为社区居民送上真切的帮助与希望。马尼拉华人区国际狮子会的师兄师姐们一早到场协助搬运与分发共计1000份民生物资，包括食品、生活用品与救助物资，让受助家庭深切感受到社会的关怀。Mariposa 日化公司也慷慨捐赠了大批洗发水与香皂等日常用品，让发放物资更为丰富实用。这一善举不仅为居民带来了关怀，也充分展现了企业对社会公益的积极担当与爱心精神。国际狮子会301-A4 区总会特派代表亲临现场，与狮友并肩参与。来自世界各地的姐妹会代表团也踊跃参与，包括台湾高雄第一狮子会、马六甲狮子会、新加坡玉郎狮子会以及纳卯华人区狮子会等。跨国狮裔齐聚一堂，共同以行动诠释服务无界、爱心无限的崇高精神。 市议员多马戈索对马尼拉华人区国际狮子会、阿古尔娱乐集团、Marisang 公司以及来自各地的狮友们的公益精神表达由衷的感谢。他表示，这不仅是一场发放活动，更是团结与希望的象征。现场，阿寡娱乐集团董事陈景顺亦发表讲话。他说，阿寡娱乐集团非常荣幸能与狮子会及马尼拉市政府携手合作，企业的发展离不开社会的支持，而回馈社会、帮助他人是企业的责任与荣耀。希望大家继续支持此类公益项目，让温暖传递下去。马尼拉华人区国际狮子会代表也表示，此次活动不仅是慈善发放，更是狮友使命的实践。通过联合政府、企业与国际友会，让服务社会、回馈社区的理念深植人心，以实际行动让爱心不断延伸。本次慈善活动圆满成功，不仅让上千个家庭获得实质帮助，更让狮子精神在社区中再次闪耀光芒。非中新闻台综合报道。
And that officially ends today's episode. It is my pleasure to introduce myself once more as your host, 𝐾𝐿. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I sincerely hope you enjoyed what you've seen. Be sure to catch the next episode of Chinatown TV next week for more exciting content.